What's up, YouTube? Belated Gamer here, and this is my rambling series where I prattle on about my experiences in life and vent about whatever the hell is on my mind. And today, I thought I'd share with you my most hated phase of my life, and that was high school. Now, my high school was was on the other side of town, and it was pretty much one of the only ones I could go to, except for in the Catholic system. And I had the choice of going into the Catholic system, into the private Catholic system, and I chose not to, because I would miss some of my friends from primary school, and that was something I just didn't want to do. So my high school was pretty big. I think it had, at the time, over 1,000 students, and it was hell. It really was hell. Now, I was bullied relentlessly in high school, and it's something that a lot of people know, a lot of people knew about. They looked the other way. The teachers knew, and they looked the other way. They didn't give a fuck. And so I had to deal with, I essentially had to deal with it myself. No one would care, no one would help me, and I just had to deal with this shitty part of my life on my own. Now, the bullying, without naming names, I had this one guy who was, he kind of resembled the pig from Stronghold, in actual fact.
I'm coming to kill you.
And he was one of the few people who made my life an absolute fucking misery. And I had an electronics class with the guy, and he decided that he was going to make my life an absolute fucking misery. So I used to get burnt by the soldering irons. I used to get punched in the face, and the teacher knew, and he didn't give a fuck. And that's what my electronics class was. I tried to get out. I tried my hardest to change classes. Teachers wouldn't let me. And so I was stuck in that class for 2 years, being relentlessly bullied, and no one gave a shit. Of course, I actually have had people come up to me who weren't bullies, who knew it was going on, and they've come up to me and apologized. I had one guy who basically came up to me and said, "Hey, look, David, I knew this was happening, and if I had a part in any of it, I am truly sorry." And I was blown away from it, because I completely forgot he was in my high school. But yeah, of course I forgave him, but for the other dozen or so people who did bully me, fuck you. So at lunchtime, I used to have people grab me and haul me off to the other side of the school to be beaten by this complete and utter scumbag once or twice a week. And I used to come home and I used to cry my eyes out. I used to have bruises, and just my life was fucking miserable. I didn't want to go to that school again. And my mum and my dad, they made me go back to that school, and still had to go to school. Even pretending that I was sick, they wouldn't let me. They still sent me to school. So I had to deal with that on a regular basis. And so when we used to have lunch, I eventually decided to hide. There were times where I'd hide in the bathroom at the school. I'd hide in the gym changing room. It sounds cliche as fuck, but I used to do it. And then there was this one time where I decided to hide in the library. Now there was this 10 to 12 minute period where the library wouldn't open after the lunch bell first rang. And that was so the librarians could have their lunch and then open the library up and everyone would go in to do research or read a book or hang out or whatever the hell they did. And there was this hulking guy that was there, and he was much taller than me. He must have been about a foot taller than me and built, like heavy built. And this one time I had these two guys out there looking for me, and so I hid in the corner right near the entrance of the library. This guy, this big hulking guy, saw this and he thought, this is a bit strange. Okay. And so pretty much what happened was the library opened and he said, hey, come with me. And I was okay, shit. I was about 5'11", maybe even 6 foot, and this guy was huge. He was huge. And so he took me into the library and he said, hey, what's your name? I said, oh, I'm David. He's going, oh yeah, cool. I'm Matt. Everyone calls me Big Matt. This is Peter, and this is James, and this guy here, this is Aaron, and Kale. And no, not like the salad. I bet he's had people calling him that for a very long time recently. And so we all went to the library, and Big Matt introduced me to D&D. And I remember the first time sitting in, because they all sat around this big table that was theirs. It had about 6 or 7 chairs there, and I sat in and I was watching them. And Matt was explaining to me the rules of the game, and then he started pulling out these dice, all these dozens and dozens of dice, and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." And each of the guys there pulled out a piece of paper, which was their character, and Matt pulled out this paper map. Matt pulled out this paper map and started explaining where everyone was and what their characters were doing, and I was just sitting there, just completely enthralled by this game. And near the end of the game, Big Mac came up to me and said, "Hey, David, would you be interested in playing with us? You look like you're enjoying watching us play." And I said, "Yeah, sure. Would that be okay?" And he said, "Look, I tell you what, tomorrow come up to the science block and I'll make a character for you." And that was the point of my life where I started getting happy again. I started loving going to school, simply because I'd get to go off to the library at lunchtime. I'd have a sanctuary and I'd get to play D&D. And I at that recess time when I went up there to make my character, Matt was sitting there and he pulled out a new character sheet and he wrote my name on there, and I sat in for the first part of the game, and the campaign basically ended. And so we reused some people reused their characters, and I got a brand new one. And my character was called Diddy, Diddy, D-I-D-I. And he was a soul warrior, and I remember it distinctly because it was a new experimental class of character. and they were sort of like a monk who basically were the keepers of the undead, and I loved it. I embraced the character, and I loved playing it every single day. So around the time that campaign began, we started getting more and more people in. There was a guy in my year, I think, which was Nathan, and I think he even joined us at one point, and we all just had a great time in the library. And then after a while, because we had a lot of people at that library at one point, we all got kicked out, and then we went off to the English department. And in the English department, we were allowed to eat our lunch there. So everyone ran off to the English department. We got 10 extra minutes to play D&D. So we all were in the English department playing the campaign and having a great time. And no one would find me there because that's where I hid. That was my sanctuary. And I loved it. And talking about this now, I really want to go out and play D&D again. I actually bought some new dice when I came back to Canada, and I was just super giddy about the prospect of actually being able to play D&D again. I mean, hell, I want to play D&D right now, but I guess I'm gonna have to wait until I move to Toronto because I don't want to play it here. And look, here's the thing. If you are being bullied, report it. The only advice I can give you is try your hardest to overcome it. Ignore them. Don't instigate any of this shit. And if you can't even do any of that, just hide. Find a safe place. Go to a library. And talk to your school counselor if you can. And try your hardest to get help. And if you do decide to hide, there's no shame in hiding. Hide in a library, and maybe you'll meet some people who'll change your life forever. Guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget you can always comment down in the comment section, and I will probably always reply. Let me know what you thought of this video. Perhaps you've played D&D. Maybe you're a big D&D nerd like me, or were in high school and just thinking about this and thinking about the glory days. Leave a comment down the comment section, and I'll be sure to try and get back to you. But as always, guys, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more random ass shit on this channel. But until next time,